Okay, so this is a video I've been avoiding making, but it's just a testament to how very merciful and gracious God is. Okay, so and the only reason I was really like not wanting to make it is pride. It's pride. It's all the pride thing, because I don't want to be seen a certain way. But the fact is that when I was outside of the will of God, I was outside of the will of God. And I was very rebellious and just foolish, incredibly foolish. So in 2020, I left my husband of 6 years because of a myriad of reasons. It was just no place that I needed to be. It was spiritually unhealthy. It was mentally unhealthy. It was physically unhealthy. It was not healthy for my children. It was just not a good marriage. It was not a godly marriage. There was no potential for it to be. So I left shortly there, and that was in January of 2020. And then the quarantine happened, which really was the grace of God, because I felt like, out of fear of unknown, I might have convinced myself that it would be okay to go back. But because of what was happening, I couldn't go back. Traveling back was not going to be an option, especially with 2 children, which was good. But it didn't feel good at that moment. It felt scary. But that was God's protection, and God did a lot of things in my heart over that time. Towards the end of that year, a friend who I had known for years and years and years, it's actually about the summer of that year, middle of that year, who I had known for years and years and years, let me know that they felt or had feelings for me. And I decided that it was okay to explore it. Not necessarily jump to being in a relationship or intimacy or anything, but just to explore it. Towards the end of that year, I moved back to where I grew up, which is nobody's business, but I moved back to the city where I grew up, where this person also lived, and my sister lived, my older sister. And the relationship quickly took off from there and did become intimate, which it shouldn't have. And I knew better than to do what I was doing, but I tried to justify it by saying that I won't be with anyone but this person, and that me and this person are moving in the direction of commitment, and so it would be okay. And it wasn't, and I was wrong. And this continued and ended up with me and this person living together, and still knowing that I wasn't right, but trying to justify it by saying, I don't want to be with anyone but this person. Me and this person are going to be together. Like, this is it. This is the only person I want to be with. So we will eventually be married. We will eventually get to this point, so it's okay. No, that is not how it works. But God's grace, I was still covered. So, not making wise choices and continuing on the pattern of not making wise choices, I ended up getting pregnant. And was terrified, for so many reasons, financially, spiritually, as far as my family, how it would affect my children, what I was communicating to my children, because I have girls, by what I was about to experience and what I had done and the choices I had made. And reality hit, because this person did not have a good reaction to me being pregnant at all. And it was a gut punch. It was a gut punch. So I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't even know how to say it out of my mouth, and then the way this person had reacted, and we were still in a relationship. We didn't break up. We were still in a relationship, but it was just I didn't even know how to say it. So I go to my appointment to check everything, and it's like, yeah, you're definitely pregnant. Da 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 da. A few weeks later, I don't know how much later it was. I scheduled another appointment, but I had to cancel it. I'm like, it's fine. I'm fine. I just want to make sure it's just one baby. When I figure out what I'm gonna do. I don't believe in abortion. That is not an option. I don't believe that I have a right to take a life because of the choice I made. So, I'm around to finally getting to the next appointment, and at this time I would have been coming up on 3 months pregnant. And they're doing the ultrasound and everything, and she's like, She never said anything to me, and she's gonna get cleaned up. And then they sit and talk to me, and they told me that the baby stopped growing around 5 weeks and did not have a heartbeat. And that all I could do now is just wait for my body to do what it does. I didn't even know how to feel. I didn't know how to feel because honestly, I didn't need to be pregnant, but also I didn't want this to happen. So a couple weeks pass, nothing happens. The miscarriage does not complete. Go to the doctor. They're checking everything. Like, we can't do much because of issues with your insurance, but just wait it out. We'll do an examination. The examination might be enough to actually expedite this. We can't do anything though. A few days later, it is coming up on Valentine's Day, and I get up at like 3 a.m. and I'm bleeding. And I'm like, oh, it's about to happen. This sucks. At least know heads up. I don't have to explain anything to anyone. I don't have to ask anyone for help because me and this person are still living together. It's happening. I think it's over. I go and get back in the bed. I feel something, and I stand up to look in the bed to see if I was bleeding in the bed, and a bunch of blood drops on the floor. And I scream the person's name to let them know, like, we might have to go to the hospital. I'm not sure. I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to try to just wash this off, but I might need you. I go in the shower, and literally softball size blood clots just dropping. I think because after that, we obviously immediately rushed me to the emergency room as quickly as we can after I bled through multiple clothing, and we realized that I had to layer towels inside of my clothing so that I could sit in the car to be rushed to the emergency room. When we went back and counted, it was about 7 softball size blood clots in the tub, along with a lot of other blood. Rushed to the hospital, bled through 2 towels and on my clothes, and I'm just bleeding. So they just get me back as quickly as they can, and they get me kind of stable-ish. They give me lots and lots of fluids. They have a lot of stuff hooked up in my arms. They kind of got me laid back. They won't let me sit up for any reason because they're not wanting my blood pressure drop, wanting my heart. I didn't know this, but later found out that that's why I was laying back. So me thinking that, oh, I'm kind of feeling a little bit better. I'm still bleeding, still huge blood clots coming out. I'm gonna lean up for a second just because I feel uncomfortable. The room starts spinning, going down into a black tunnel, and I can't hear anything. The person is at the hospital in the emergency room with me, screaming, talking to me, and I'm like, I can't hear you. I can see their mouth moving. I can't hear you, can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I just fall back. Next thing I know, people are, my feet are going up in the air. They're tilting my bed back. Just a bunch, the room is now full of people where there was nobody in there. This room is full of people. Everyone's moving around me really fast. I'm looking for where he is. He's in the room still, and I look over at the machine and it says my blood pressure was 70/40. I was literally about to die. I was literally about to die. And in that moment, all I could think about was my kids. But after that moment, I realized that it would have been justified if I had. Because the only reason I was in that position is because I decided to deliberately disobey God. Again and 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 again. And there was no reason that God had to save my life. I bled from 3 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. and did not die. And even in my stupidity and foolishness and sin, I knew who to call. And once they started getting me a few units of blood and they lit me up, I still was bleeding. It said, we have to pray. And we did. And I begged God, like, please let me go home to my girls. Please, God, please, God, please. I went home. I made it home to my girls that night by 8 p.m. Because even though I was only in that situation because I disobeyed God, God still heard me. God still listened to me, and God still saved me. He preserved my life, and He honored my prayer in my disobedience. So I say all that to say, don't think because of what you've done and where you are that He won't come for you, that He won't hear you, that He won't rescue you, that He won't save you. Even if it is your fault that you are where you are, even if you knew what to do and you didn't, and that's why your life has come to what it's come to, call on the name of Jesus. Call on God, because He will come and He will rescue you. He does hear you. And He's waiting for you to call on Him. He's waiting for you to call on Him, because He is merciful and gracious even when we are defiant and disobedient. He is still merciful and gracious. He still loves us. He still rescues us. He still wants us. He's still listening to us. He is nothing like any type of love you will ever see in this world. He's nothing like that. He's so much greater. He is so much more merciful. He is so much more gracious, and He loves you and he wants you. He wants you. And he will rescue you if you call on him, even in your failing. And God has done so much with my life and for my life since that moment, and I am so grateful. And so, yeah, even though I'm ashamed of what I did, I see his glory in it. I see his glory in all of it. Because if it means even one person will say, okay, I'm going to trust him, I'm going to call on his name, I don't care about how many other people that might call me names or say anything about me. Because you need to know that he wants you and he is waiting for you to speak to him, to call to him. Just reach, just say his name once, because he's waiting to come rescue you and he loves you. Be loved, be light.